We're going to look at how to do hypothesis tests for one proportion here using technology. The name for this is a one proportion because we're looking at one proportion at a time. Z-test because we're using z-scores and we're doing a test. So suppose that I'm testing a claim of 40% with an alternative of lower or less than 40%, and I have 45 successes out of 120 trials. I'm going to start with the TI-89 here. I'm going into apps. Apps on my calculator is the purple button. And I'm choosing the option for stat list editor. Up top, I'm doing a test, so I'm choosing F6 for test. I'm going to hit the blue and then button that says F6 just to jump right to there. And I'm going to scroll down to one proportion Z test. I'm testing a claim of 40%. So for this first thing, this P naught, this is that value that you have from the null hypothesis, 0.40. X is the number of successes. I have 45 successes out of 120 trials. If you're given a percentage instead of a count, you have to convert all of those percentages into counts. This is looking at whole number of successes out of total number of trials. And finally, for alternative hypothesis here, I can test an alternative of not equals that value that's being claimed, less, or greater. In this problem, we're testing that it's lower than 40%, so I'm choosing less than the value. I have the option of either calculating or drawing a picture of the curve. I'm just going to choose calculate. And I hit enter and it gives me all this value. It gives me my null hypothesis value of 40%, my z-score of negative 0.56 if I round a little bit, and a p-value, a fairly large p-value here of 0.288 or so. So when I used technology, I ended up getting a z-score of negative 0.56-ish, a p-value of 0.288 or so. I'm going to show you how to do the same thing now using a TI-84 calculator. I'm using the Smart View that I have a free trial of, so I don't have to pay for this thing. I'm going into Stat. I'm going into Test. And I'm choosing the option for one proportion z-test. You may notice that the calculator actually has both a z-test and a one proportion z-test. Z-test is if I'm working with sample averages. One proportion is if I'm working with percentages. And I'm working with percentages for this, so I'm going to choose this one proportion z-test option. My null hypothesis is 40%. I have my X is number of successes, 45 out of 120 trials. I'm testing less, so I choose the symbol less. I go down to either calculate or draw. It draws a picture of the curve. I'm just going to choose calculate. This gives me a z-score of negative 0.56. That's matching up to the before number. And a p. This is a little confusing. So in the TI-84, when it says p, this is your p value. So my p value is 0.288. The notation in the TI-84 can be a little bit misleading. Your p naught or your claim is 40%, but your p value, this is the likelihood of your sample data are more extreme. If that hypothesis is true, that value ends up being 28.8% or so. Finally, let me show you how to do this inside of GeoGebra. In GeoGebra, I open it up, of course. I choose the option for probability. I go into the option for statistics. And the statistics tab is going to have all of my tests and all of my intervals. Test for test, estimate for intervals. I am dealing with a test using a proportion, so I'm doing a z-test of a proportion. Null hypothesis is 40%. Alternative, I was testing less than. And I just click the bubble that I want. Number of successes, I had 45 successes. Number of trials, this was out of 120 trials. This gives me a z-score of negative 0.56. This gives me a p-value, again, a little confusing. Don't actually think this is p, this is p-value, a p-value of 0.2881 or so. So using technology, I can quickly double check my work for both a hypothesis test and a confidence interval. We'll continue making more videos looking at different scenarios here.